Hey guys, it's Miss B with Parent Club, and we're going to go ahead and get started on this awesome penguin painting that you guys can follow along with at home. Feel free to go ahead and pause the video at any point, restart at any point, or just follow along with me. We've got 3 brushes we're working with today. We've got our sponge brush, a point brush, and we have an angle brush. We also have a pencil, and we've got a couple of Q-tips for you guys. We're also working with 5 different colors. We have our green, yellow, white, red. We've got a little bit of black over here too. And then you're also going to be getting a nice plate in which you can put the colors onto to mix them for this painting. So we're going to go ahead and start off by using our pencil, and we're going to do a quick little sketch so we don't waste any of our paint. We're going to go ahead and do this nice half dome, and this is going to be the top of our penguin. This is going to be his head. We're going to do it at this weird little angle over here, but we're going to go ahead and start off by doing this nice little rainbow right at the top of the page. It's going to be a little off-centered. I'm going to make that a little bit darker for you guys, and if you sketch it out a little bit, do a couple of times nice and loose, that's perfect. Make it nice and light because we're going to paint over it, so you don't want to do it too dark. This is going to be the top of our penguin's head. Now we're going to go ahead and put his little scarf on him too. And we're going to come right across. It's going to look like a little sideways smiley face. And we're just going to go ahead and sketch that in there also. And you're going to do one right underneath because it's his scarf, so it's got to have a top and a bottom to the scarf. Perfect, and we're going to do this little ball. So nice loose circle. If it doesn't look quite like a perfect circle, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to. It's just going to be the knot. And then we're going to go ahead and put in the tails to his scarf. It's going to almost look like a triangle, so you can even, if you want to start inside the circle, we can go ahead and make nice little curved line. It's not perfectly straight. And we're going to go ahead and get a bottom side to it. And we're going to meet it right inside that knot. Now, if you want to go ahead and connect it and make that triangle, you sure can. But there's really no point. We're going to go ahead and paint this in a little bit anyways. Again, though, we're going to go ahead and take a nice little arch out here. And a nice little arch out here. And we're not even going to bother filling out the bottom of that triangle because it's just going to run right off the page. And that's going to be the second tail to our scarf. Now underneath our scarf here, we're going to go ahead and take this line that we made for the side of our penguin's head, and we're going to, you don't have to go through right here through the scarf, but we're going to go ahead and extend it right underneath. Now the nice thing about this too, if you really want to, you can come back out and you can take the eraser. You can take out all the extra lines that we don't really need. Give you guys a couple of seconds catch up there. We're also going to get another triangle in here. Now, right under our knot, we're going to get this little curved line out here, and we're going to bring it right back, and that's going to be his little flipper. Can you guys see that? We have a nice little triangle down there. Perfect. You guys are doing great. Perfect, perfect. Now this is going to be fun. We're going to actually take a line right outside. So we have our nice little rainbow over here. We're going to take another line like right outside. We're going to just make a second line, make it just a little bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger. And you'll see why we do that in a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start painting. Now, when we start painting, we're going to go ahead and start with our nice sponge brush. And what I want you to do is dip it into a little bit of your water. A little bit of your water. And you can even go ahead and you can squeeze it out. We don't want too much water on there. We don't want it dripping. But we do want it wet so that the paint is a little bit more malleable. Malleable? Am I saying that right? Someone correct me, it's fine. It's fine. We're going to go in with our white though. We're going to go ahead and paint in the center of our penguin. We're going to come in here. We're just going to fill all of this in. Just going to go ahead, dip it back in. If it feels like it's kind of dry, you can go ahead and add more paint to your brush, or it might be that your sponge needs a little bit more water. Either is fine. You just don't want to get too much water on that brush to where it starts building up paint. You get like little water spots. You just don't want that. And you just want to brush this out. I also, like up here, I've got it a little bit thick, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint that out right there. Spread it around, and I'm going to come right down here and paint this white as well. Now, if you're going to be displaying your paintings, which I hope you guys do, go ahead and paint the sides of your canvas as well. So if we've got white coming across the bottom here, we can go ahead and paint this part of our canvas white as well. And we can paint that bottom edge also. That'll look really good when you guys hang these paintings up. Now we don't have too much at the top over here that you need to go ahead and paint on the side, but if you want to, you could. Depends how you made your drawing. If you made your drawing a little bit bigger and it's hanging off the edge a little bit more, feel free. If it looks like mine, great, and if it doesn't, even better. You do not have to make it look identical to me or to my painting. I'm here just to give you some general instruction, but you guys feel free to change the painting as much as you want. When I'm done here, I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my sponge brush, and I'm going to go ahead and dry it off on a paper towel. And I'm going to go ahead and set it down for a second, because we're going to go back in with it with the black, but I don't, and the red, but I don't want it dripping any of this water from cleaning the brush out. So I'm going to let it rest for a second. I'm going to squeeze out as much water from the sponge as possible. I'm going to let it rest for a second. Okay, so we can go in with our red next. This is going to be our scarf. So you can go ahead and take a little bit of this red right here, and we're going to go ahead and pour some right onto the plate, because we're going to mix it. We're going to mix that red with a tiny bit of black, and when I say a tiny bit of black, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not even pouring the black. I'm going to go ahead and dip a tiny bit onto my brush. Tiny bit onto my brush. And I'm just going to mix that right into my red. We're just going to darken it up. Now, if you don't make enough this first time, go ahead and just make in a second batch of it. No problem. We're just going to darken that up just a little bit. And you can see I'm not even mixing it in fully. I'm going to go ahead and leave some of that light red in there. I'm going to leave a little bit of that black, and that's going to create some highlights and some lowlights using some minimal effort. So I'm going to go back onto my canvas, and I'm just going to go ahead and brush this red right onto it. I'm going to try to maintain the shapes that I outlined for myself already. So if I did my 2 lines for the scarf right on the penguin's neck, I'm going to try to just move right in the shape, nice long lines. And I'm even going to go onto the side of my canvas here. And I'm going to go ahead and paint that as well. That looks really good. Now I've got some of that light red in there, and I've got some of that black coming through, and it's making some nice dimension for us without having to try too hard. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm also going to go ahead and do those tails. I'm going to come up in here. Now at any point, if you don't feel like this sponge brush is working for you, you want to move to a smaller brush, go ahead. No problem. I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to fill it in. And right here, like I made a little boo-boo, and that's okay. I'm just going to work it right into the rest of my painting. Not a problem. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it to this bottom tail down here. Now, because again, it's running off the edge of my page, if you're going to go ahead and display this, we can go ahead and paint this bottom section out as well. Nice and easy. And remember, not too much paint. We don't want to use too much on there. And I'm going to do this last little portion. And I'm actually just going to take my brush, I'm just going to spin it. Get that nice circle shape. Like I said, whatever shape we outlined, we want to make sure that we kind of stay consistent and only go one direction when we're using our brush strokes. So we're going to go ahead and do this nice circle, one direction. That looks great. Perfect. Okay, when you're done with this, we're going to go ahead and rinse this brush off again. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap it at the bottom of my water cup, maybe give it a couple swirls. Try to get as much of that paint off as possible because we do need to go back. We're going to do a couple more things with this sponge brush. And I'm going to go ahead and press out all of that water, and you can see it's coming out in my paper towels. And I'm going to try to get as much of that water out as possible. And if it doesn't work the first time for you, you can go back and wash it again. Or since you're at home, you can even go rinse it out in your faucet if you need to. We're going to go in with green for our background on this next portion. So I don't really want to carry any red into it. Alright, so I'm squeezing as much of this out as possible, and our brush is looking not too bad, not too shabby. Alright, so we want to make sure we get all of this paint out. We're going to let it set. We're going to go ahead and set down the brush for a little bit, the sponge brush for a little bit, because at least if the paint dries, it won't carry into the next color that we use. And if you need time, you guys can go ahead and pause the video at this point. If not, I'm just going to move right into the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some of my yellow. And then I'm also going to pour some of my green. Just a little bit, not too much. Now, if it's not the color I want, I definitely want more yellow than green. And if it's not the color I want, I can always add more of either of the colors, depending on what happens. If it looks too green, I might want to add more yellow. If it looks too yellow, I might want to add more green. In this case, I might want to add just a little bit more yellow. Just a tiny bit more yellow. Now, we don't need to save too much of it, but we do need a little bit of it for his beak at the end. We're going to make an orange. But we're going to go ahead and keep mixing this in here. That's looking pretty good. That's going to contrast with our red really well. And now if you know about colors, we know that green and red are complementary colors. And so these are going to look great together on the page or on our canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and take our nice mixed yellow-green color, and I'm just going to start coloring the rest of our background. So we're leaving our black here for the penguin. We painted this white. We've got our red in for our scarf. Everything else is going to get this nice background color. Now this is the fun part. You can do this however you want. You can make nice random strokes. You can paint it all one direction if you want. If you want to just go up and down with it, nice and vertical, you can do that. If you want it to have some random strokes, you can do that as well. But I'm just going to take my brush, and like I said before, if it's not working out with you using the sponge, feel free to pick up a different, and like that right there, I kind of made a little mistake. That's okay, we can cover it up. If this sponge isn't working for you, feel free to grab a smaller brush, and you can come right along the edge here and you can just line it. Nice and perfect. Nice and perfect. And just like the other side, since we're going to be displaying these canvases, we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint our edges. Because when you hang this up on a wall, it's going to look fantastic, I guarantee it. We're just going to go ahead and fill this in right up to the edge there. I'm even going to do the top over here. You can see that on the screen. And then we've got our little area down here, right over his little flipper, right under the scarf. And now I might even go back with a tiny brush and go right up against the edges there. And I'm going to paint the bottom as well. This is looking really good, you guys. Just awesome. Just awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush off here. I'm going to go ahead and rinse the sponge brush off. But I am going to come back with our angled brush. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some paint from here. Actually, what you want to do is you want to start, just like that sponge brush, you want to go ahead and get it started with some water. Dampen it up. It doesn't really matter what color your water is at this point. It should not carry over into your paint. But you just want to use a little bit. My color is very interesting. So I'm just dipping it in just a tiny bit and I'm wiping it off right on the edge so I don't have too much. I'm even going to wipe it off on my paper towel a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and take this background color. I'm going to come right up along the edge of my penguin, and I'm just going to fill in these little spots here. Make nice outlines. Right against the scarf as well. We're also going to come back with a black outline around our scarf. So if it looks a little muddied when these colors are right next to each other, don't worry too much about it. We're going to go back with a nice black line and we'll clarify that. And once you're done with that, go ahead and rinse your brush off. I'm just tapping it at the bottom of my water cup and I'm wiping it off on the edge of my paper towel. And I am done with that background. Again, if you need more time, you guys can go ahead and pause the video here. If not, I'm just going to move right in to the rest of our penguin. So now I'm going to go back with our black and try not to spill the rest of this paint. And I'm going to come in and do the top of his head. So now it's going to start taking the shape of a penguin. I'm again using my angle brush. You want to use that sponge brush, feel free. It might get a little wonky on you, trying to fit into these nice small spaces. But if you're more comfortable with that, go for it. I'm going to come right up to the edge of my scarf here. And then I'm going to come right up against the white of the penguin here. I'm just going to thicken this up a little bit. And then I'm also going to go ahead and carry this down, right down here. Now I know we didn't make that second line down here, but we're just making a nice thick black line. And it starts a little bit thicker at the top and it gets a little bit thinner. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill in that flipper as well. I'm going to blend him up. So what I'm doing is I'm putting down my angle right down here, and I'm going to brush it right into his side. And then again, I'm going to lay this down right here at the bottom, and I'm going to bring it right into his side down here. And then I'm just going to fill in my nice little triangle. And you can make this a little bit bigger if you want to. You could have done it smaller if you wanted to. Like I said, I'm here just to give you some general instruction. But if you want it to look a little bit different than mine, feel free. Whatever is going to make you happy, whatever is going to help you want to keep this painting so you can display it at home, feel free to make any adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and come back around here. I might have come up a little high with my white, so I'm just going to come back and I'm going to fill this in over here. And like everywhere else on this canvas, if you're taking this color up on the edge, you can go ahead and paint that side of the canvas too. It's going to look super good. So again, I'm just going to come back here. I'm going to make this line a little bit cleaner. Bring it down just a little bit. Perfect. This is looking so good, you guys. Super good. And again, I'm just going to come right along the top here. I'm going to fill this in right here. Bring this out just a little bit, make that shape. Just picked up a little bit of that green, that's okay. And again, I'm just going to paint this part out. It's going to look really nice. I'm even going to do the edge over here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Looking so good. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. I think he's turning out super cute. I might even bring this down just a little bit more. So nice. I love it, I love it, I love it. Now, this is the cool thing. Everything else should be pretty dry at this point. If it's not, you can pause the video until it does dry down. But this brush is the perfect brush for this next part. So what I want you to do is dip right into your black. You don't even have to wash your brush out. But you saw what I did. I dipped in just a little bit, and I'm wiping off all the excess on the edge. And I'm going to use this to line my scarf. And we're also going to give him some eyes in a second. But so what I want you to do, just like you would with a pencil, we're going to come around and we're going to outline each of these sections. Now, if you do it quick, it's a little bit easier. If you try to take your time on this, it comes out a little funky. Mine's coming out funky anyway, so however is comfortable, whatever works best for you, go for that. We're going to go around here. Nice circle. And now I'm just dragging this brush, trying not to use too much paint. And we're going to go ahead and just outline right there. We're also going to outline underneath his face over here and right over his chest. Just going to drag this, and I'm going to drag it again. And you guys can see a little bit of paint goes a long way. Oop, and I'm getting shaky. That's okay. I'm not worried about mistakes. Easy to fix, easy to fix. Now I'm going to wait a little bit for my background to dry, but we're going to get some like nice loose threads at the end. It's going to look really good. Now I'm washing my brush. Now I just washed my brush just to make sure I don't have too much paint on there, but we are going back in with some black right now. You can use that same brush, or even we can switch into our point brush, which might work out better for everybody. If you want to grab your point brush, since we haven't used it yet, dip it a tiny bit into your water, get it a little moist, and then we're going to go ahead and dry it off on our paper towel. You can go ahead and dip right in to that black, and we're going to go ahead and put some eyes in. Now, it can't be straight across. It can't be straight across because his head is tilted. He's this way. So if you want to kind of hold a brush here so you can kind of see where his eyes should go, that might help you out too. Instead of going straight across here, which will make his eyes look a little funky, you hold a brush at the angle the rest of his body is. We can go ahead and just get in our 2 points here. So I have one that looks like it's a little higher than the other, but that's perfect because our penguin is slanted. Now I know that looks kind of silly, but what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're just going to make some nice big ovals here. We're going to give him some super cute eyes. Super cute eyes. If they turn out to be perfect circles, great. If you want to leave them nice ovals, that looks great too. If they come out a little wonky like mine, great also. It works out. Super cute. I am going to go ahead and wash this brush off. I am going to come back and use that one. Right now, we've got 2 more colors to mix. So I swirled that brush at the bottom of my water cup and I wiped it off on my paper towel. Get all that excess water out. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and mix our orange. So you can do this a couple ways. You can pour it right onto your plate, or you can just dip your brush into the paint and then mix it on your plate. I'm going to dip into some yellow because we don't need too much. Just going to use this yellow right here. And I'm going to grab a little bit of this red. Now that might have even been too much, so I'm going to wipe some off right there on my plate. And going to mix the rest of it. Grab some as I need it. That looks pretty orange to me. Maybe even add a little bit more yellow over here. Cool, we got a nice orange for his beak. Perfect, I'm going to go ahead and set that down. I'm still using that point brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to make a nice upside down triangle. But instead of sharp lines, I'm going to do nice round lines. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to make a nice round line right there. And instead of sharp lines coming down, I'm going to do nice little round lines. Just like that. They're all going to meet at a point. Nice soft lines though. And from here, and actually I can even bring that up just a little bit higher. And I'm going to go ahead and just fill this in. Bring that out. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Again, I'm going to go ahead and rinse this brush off. Don't worry if I'm moving too fast for you and you feel like you need to pause the video. That is perfectly alright. I'm going to clean this brush off, dry it off on my paper towel, and we're going to go ahead and mix our last color. I'm going to grab, now make sure that this is nice and clean or else this won't work. You want to take that same brush. I'm going to grab some of my white. I might grab a little bit more than that. We're going to do 2 cheeks. We're going to give him some rosy cheeks. So I'm grabbing some white. And now you guys know paint goes a long way. So I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of red. Tiny bit of red. And mix it in there. And we should get a cute pink. Perfect for his cheeks. Now if it's not showing up too much, if it's too light, you can grab some more red. And if that winds up being too red, you can always go back and grab some more white. Mixing colors is pretty simple. You can always get what you want by adding a little bit more of another color. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back with a couple of perfect circles, as perfect as we can get them. And I'm going to come right in on his cheeks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my dots again. Just going to kind of place out where I want these little rosy cheeks to go. And I'm just going to go ahead with that same point brush. It's going to make these nice little circles. Give him some cute round cheeks. Now if it's not perfect, that's alright. We're not worried about it being perfect. He's looking so cute right now, right guys? Super cute. Go ahead and rinse that brush off. Tap it at the bottom of your water cup. Wipe it off on your paper towel. And we're going to let that set for a second. Okay, so I'm going to go back in right now. I'm going to use my nice clean angle brush and I'm going to flatten it out because it's still kind of damp. If it's not damp for you, go ahead and just get it a tiny bit wet. Wipe it off on your paper towel and we're just going to pinch it out, make it super flat. Look at that. And I'm going to go back into my original color for the scarf, this nice darkened red color. I'm going to dip right into there. And I'm going to make the fringe on our scarf here. So I'm just going to lay my brush down and I'm going to flick it up. Flick, 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 flick. That's it. It's looking a little silly. It's going to look great in a second. I'm just going to flick it up. Perfect. Just like you would see at the end of a scarf. Super cute. I'm going to go ahead and rinse that off. Rinse, rinse, rinse. Make sure it's nice and clean. Take your time cleaning it. And I'm going to come back with a little bit of white. Now I'm going to go ahead and just dip in right there and I'm going to wipe it off right on the edge of my cup. I don't need too much here. But again, I'm going to flick this up for the fringe. And now your colors might mix together and that'll be alright. If it starts mixing together, either clean off your brush with water or just wipe it off on a paper towel. And we're just going to flick some of this fringe back up there. Now, on top of doing that, we're also going to add a little bit of white detail to our actual scarf. So we're going to come back in with a little bit of this white. And now, the same direction that we have this scarf, the outline of the scarf, we're going to go ahead and put in some nice little white details here. Now you can add as many of these or as little of these as you like. If you don't even like it, you don't have to add it. But I'm just going to come back in here and I'm going to put in a couple of these nice little details, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that as well with the knot. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on the part underneath his cute little face. Now you can add little highlights wherever you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and put a little highlight right here. Might even want to add, now you saw I just wiped off my brush. I didn't use any water, just so I don't get too many mixed colors in here. And I'm going to go ahead and just get a couple white lines in there. I'm also going to add some highlights to my penguin's head, so I'm going to go ahead and put a cute little line up there. Maybe one over here. I'm going to put some on his little flipper over here. Add one down here. These are just nice little flicks of the wrist. Just bringing a little bit of attention, a little bit of detail. Now I'm going to rinse off my brush. And this is going to be your last step. We're going to go back with a little bit of black. Same brush. And I'm going to go ahead and finish off this fringe over here. That looks super cute. I hope your guys is looking as good as this one is, if not better. And again, not too much paint, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to add a little bit of detail. This is really sketchy. Look, I'm going outside my line a little bit. Super cute. If you want to fix this, you can go back and you can darken it up. But I even think it looks kind of cute with like the lines coming out a little bit. Coming outside. Looking really cute. We're going to go ahead and get some details in the scarf. Now you don't have to place them exactly where I am. You can if you want. But we're just going to go ahead and put a little bit of these strokes in here in the scarf. And if you want, you can even do like cute little sketchy details. Drag our little black lines outside. Kind of makes him look like he's in motion. Super cute. I love it. What do you guys think about this? Adorable. If you really want, you can go back and add some little details. That was our last official step, but if you want, you can always go back, do some fun stuff, add or use the back of your brush over here, dip into some white. You can get some cute highlights on the eyes. You could add some snow to your background. You can dip it and then use different amounts to get different size snowflakes in here. You guys can do whatever you want. The very last thing you need to do is sign your beautiful painting. I would go back in right now and I would use that nice little point brush that we have, and now you don't have to do your whole thing. You can if you want. Pick whatever color you want. I'm going to go ahead and use this green. Green's my favorite color. And I'm just going to put a cute little bee as my signature. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me and doing your cute Christmas penguin painting. I hope you enjoyed.